because we know life changes.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Okhódayapi Owámniyomni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Snow and freezing rain expected tonight with temperatures rising to 25, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 42. Dinosaur World is taking over Children's Theater Company for an immersive tour where you can feel the roar and even smell their stinky breath. Get ready to face a T-Rex and be sneezed on by a Triceratops. Dinosaur World runs now through April 5th. Get your tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, just a reminder of everybody that's on AM 950 right now, and then also all our social medias out there. Remind you, Chase Iron Eyes is on tonight, right after Native Roots Radio, an exciting show with Chase, and really looking forward to that. Hey, today we have our friends Kahomy and Kayla here, and I'm going to add them to the show here, and hopefully they'll turn their little mics on and cameras and everything. Great to see you, Kahomy. Hey, Kayla, nice to see you. A lot going on, you guys. A lot of positive stuff. Kahomy, let's open up and talk about what's going on down there with your organization, Owámniyomni.
Hey, thanks for having us back again. Yeah, we have a lot going on this week. First off, Owámniyomni is the site formerly known as St. Anthony Falls. where we are doing a big restoration project. It's a deep cultural significance for Dakota people in the site at the area, and just a sacred site for the people. So we wanted to kind of celebrate what was going on for the past 10 years. And so this Saturday, this weekend, we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary and opening of our new engagement space, which is right across the street from the Stone Arch Bridge entrance.
See, I got the applause going there. That's awesome. I always like to use that button. Yeah, just that office is unbelievable. And Kayla, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on with this great organization.
Yeah, super excited to be here as well. Just a lot of planning for this big event. We're super excited as a team. At the open house, we can expect to have guided tours of the site and of the new engagement space so folks can come check it out. We'll have activities, games, DIY, kind of making bird feeders to bring in the spring, which would be super fun. We're also very excited to have educational exhibits from the University of Minnesota Raptor Center. So we'll have a booth with live raptors there, as well as free food and drinks from Trickster Tacos and Powwow Grounds, and a local vendors market. So lots going on, and we're very excited.
That is a lot going on, and it's going to be really good weather, so people come on down there and then also take a nice walk in the neighborhood. And the Stone Bridge is always a great place to check it out. I just got to say, and I know this is a radio show, Kami, those earrings are awesome. So anyone watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Blue Sky or X, check those earrings out. Are rocking.
Thank you. Yeah, earrings are my favorite things.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what all entailed. This snuck up on me. Did we talk about this before? This is was this a sneaky thing that all of a sudden popped out on Facebook? I was like, this is awesome, that office area, and that is great, and it's a landing place for people that want to come and check out the falls. It's awesome.
No, we've been planning it for a while now, and kind of brainstorming, like, when should we have this big kind of grand opening after, acquiring the building and, well, the office space. And so we thought having it during the Spring Equinox time would kind of give us an opportunity to celebrate the coming of spring in that ceremony on top of doing our 10-year anniversary celebration. So and we're really excited to start welcoming everyone to the engagement space. This gives us a really good opportunity to host educational programs, cultural activities and classes. Really gives us a space right near where we're doing this restoration, a space to, connect people to the history of the area and Dakota lifeways, and show people what the significance of Owámniyomni is.
Well, now in this space, is there space for people to lease out with you guys, or how does that work, or how do you share that big space you have?
Kayla, did you want to answer that one?
Sure. I think it's more to come on the leasing space. I think it's in the works, and we should have something in the future to be able to, use our space.
Yeah, because it's a beautiful space in the area down there. It's just great to hang out. Kayla, I was going to ask you more. Kayla Pollard, I was going to ask you more about the event, the Spring Equinox happening at the riverfront. You said there's going to be some tabling too, so I can go down and get some swag.
Yes, you can come get some swag. We'll have some of our merch. We'll have giveaways. So it should have a lot of just different ways to interact with us. Our whole team will be there. So be able to meet the team and just get to know us better and know the space better.
That's awesome. Kami, you have anything to add to that? Because I want to get back into, because we have listeners that come and go, and mostly come and listen, but all the things that you have to offer down in that area, and maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about the area and where it is, and then also some of the landmarks that that people can visit and learn more about the Kota Lakota people of this country or this state in this area?
Yeah, so the site is Owámniyomni, which was formerly known as St. Anthony Falls. It's right there in downtown Minneapolis, right off of Portland Avenue. I think it goes right into it. And historically, it was a significant area for the Dakota people as like a meeting place where they gathered and maybe they did trades with other tribes or with each other. And right just a little ways from Stone Arch Bridge, you can look and you'll see an area known as Owámniyomni, which is Spirit Island, also another significant area to the Dakota people where women came and did their offerings for their birthing journeys, and where some of them often give birth in the area too. So it's a really significant sacred area to the Dakota people, and we're given the honor to restore it to as close as we can back to what it used to look like and what it was. At the same time, we're really honoring the earth and the water in that area and asking what it wants. And so it's not really what we want for that area. It's really what the water and the plant relatives and the two-legged and four-legged animals, what they want for their area to be. So really letting it guide us in our work and what our future looks like in that area. So the engagement space is right across the street from there. The address is like 100 Portland Avenue or something like that. It leads you right to the parking lot, and then the engagement space is right there. So while construction's going on and while the restoration's going on, we'll be able to look out the window and see everything going on. And so that's really exciting. And on top of that, we'll have all these cultural classes, hosting educational programs, Dakota Lifeways. There's a really nice kitchen in there now, so we can be able to do so all the YouTube videos and everything we've been doing, we'll be able to do them in person now. So that's what I'm really excited for. And we'll be able to host these year round instead of like looking for someplace, and we're partnering with other organizations. We'll have like a home base now.
That's excellent. Hey, we are here with our friend Kahomy Weston and Kayla Pollard, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this very exciting. It seems like it happened really fast. I didn't know the organization was around 10 years, but things have really been moving the last few years, and we'll talk more about this great area and this new building and this celebration coming up. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho-wah! Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Okhódayapi Desnigowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger. Purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are with our friends Kahomy, Weston, and Kayla Pollard of Owámniyomni. Help me out here. I'm going to get this someday. Owámniyomni.
Owámniyomni, Okhódayapi.
Yes, exactly. And this is a Dakota-led nonprofit, and we're talking about the new opening and then also what's happening this weekend, which is really exciting. And wow, yeah. And I'll be down there for some swag, you know that. Oh, wow. So, Kahomy, talk a little bit more about, the vision. Now it seems like it's even picking up more. You have this building here. You're going to be able to do a lot of things out of there. What is the big vision with this new building?
Really having a space where we can invite people in and learn more about the area, as well as offering, Dakota Lifeway teachings to our Dakota relatives and really all Indigenous people who want to know or learn. And on top of being able to be right there, right across the street from the site. And once the construction's finished, there'll be like a guided path down to the waters. We'll be able to hold educational walks. Maybe we'll do some harvesting of our plants, our medicines, and our foods. And then we'll be able to bring them right back to the engagement space where we can really deep dive into the teachings and prepare whatever it is, if we're making medicine, making teas, or maybe we're preparing the food. So we'll have like an all access area where we'll be down at the waters. Maybe we'll be walking the paths in our mother gardens area, harvesting, and then go straight back to the engagement space. So just really having a area that Owámniyomni, Okhódayapi can be physically present at the site.
So, Kahomy, we've talked about this before. Across the river, there was at one time an island, a very sacred island. Could you talk a little bit to our relatives listening to the show and remind them of that? And maybe someday we'll be able to restore that.
Yeah, that's been in the talks also, but we're doing the project in phases. So right now we're focusing on the ugly parking lot from the Army Corps building right now. And, the island you're speaking of is Owámniyomni, which is Spirit Island, translates to Spirit Island. And it was a place of great significance for Dakota people, especially our women. We would go there and make offerings for our birthing journeys. And it was said that a lot of times women would also give birth in that area. There's also stories of our, river spirits that would also come to the area for mating. So there's a lot of stories, a lot of history of that area. And I also hope that one day we can find the soils and the grounds that made up that island and we can recreate that. If you're standing on the Stone Arch Bridge and you're looking towards the island, there's a, I don't know what they're called. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, you could see it's like concrete and rocks where the island used to be, but you can see plants and maybe they're weeds. I can't see it from that far, but trying to grow through those cracks of those rocks. So, it's a place where, like I said before, it's, these plants are telling us what they want. The water's telling us what they want, along with the animals that come to the area. So we're really honing in on that and listening to them and letting them guide us in our work.
That's exciting. And yeah, I imagine it's going to be in segments. And I'm just excited because, I've heard about this project, and then the name change and then the Dakota leadership. It's been fun to watch over these past few years. And again, Kayla, so what is your job with this organization and how long you been with them?
Yeah, my job is I'm the development coordinator. And so I work on the development team. I help with our fundraising. and all things related to like grants and things like that. And I have been with this team for 5 months now, so still fairly new and learning a lot, but it's been super fun and just awesome team to work with.
Yeah, I can imagine. One of the things I always like to do is get a plan of action for our listeners and our watchers. Can you give the website and how people can support this and find out more information?
Yeah, you can go check us out at Owámniyomni, Okhódayapi.org, I believe. We have all of our info on there. You can hear more about what Kahomy was talking about of our phases for the project, as well as links to give should you feel like you want to, is what I meant to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. And anything to add, Kami? Because it's really important. We got people driving in the car, listening, working out, listening to the show. How they can support, this in a good way. Whether it is giving, or is there other ways? Is there ways to follow you on Facebook and look at your videos on YouTube? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can support our work and what we're doing at Owámniyomni. And we're on Facebook and Instagram and on YouTube, as well as our website. And, just sharing our posts, that's one way to really support us, is just getting the word out there of what we're doing. As well as like, if you want to sign up for our newsletters, if you go to the website, then there's a link at the bottom. Like if you scroll down the page, there's a link to sign up for our newsletters where, we share basically what's going on once a month. And you get all the info there. One of the cool features that I think is really cool on our website, if you go to like our project, if you click around and you'll find like the design and what it's going to look like. There's like a before and after, really, really beautiful renditions of what we have planned for the site. And you'll be able to see the engagement space in the background, the landscape, how the really, really drastic change in landscape. And so that's featured on our website also.
You know what? I always like to talk about this too, because I learned this from our friend Barry a long time ago, is things that you think are weeds, anything that's got a square trunk is medicine. And that was something you look around and you go, there's a lot of medicines growing down there. And it's great to have an organization really point these out because, as we know, we deal with the concrete of grass in people's yards. So it's good to be able to go down there and check out medicines.
Yeah, we're really excited for that. And that'll be one of our cultural education classes too, or maybe one of our educational walks that we'll do, especially when it comes to harvesting time. So we plan on reintroducing a lot of these medicines and foods back to the area. And so they'll be along the site, along the pathway, up in the Mother Garden area. And it'll be really exciting to be able to finally teach that. And there's other organizations that do such a great job of, teaching everyone what these plants are, how to utilize them, how to identify them. But to do it at a site that if you go and look there right now, you wouldn't even think you'd be able to find any kind of medicine there. So we're really, really excited for that and to offer that for our relatives.
I'm excited because I think everybody wants to know, and everybody wants to, I guess, be taught too, not to I guess the word's forage. I guess that's a colonized name, but our medicines we pray over, we leave tobacco, and we leave it in a better way. So it'll be great to have you guys, back on and talk about how we deal with these medicines and our plants and our relatives, which that always excites me to have you guys on. We only got a couple minutes left, and I'm wondering, do you have any last words, Kayla? Was this fun? Was this intimidating coming on the radio show? Oh.
No, it was super fun. I was a little bit nervous at first, but you made me feel super comfortable, and it's good. It's just a conversation, right? Just talking about what Owámniyomni Okhódayapi is doing. So we're just super excited for our event coming up this Saturday. That's March 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We just encourage community members, neighbors, bring your family. It should be just a super fun time to get together.
Perfect. And Kami, you're an old pro. You could probably host this show now.
These days.
Always looking to pass it on. I'm one of those young elders that looks for young ones to lead the way. We've been on for 10 years, and I imagine we'll be on another 10 years, but maybe under different leadership. So always good to have you on. You're so laid back and also have all this great information. Any last words before we let you go?
Just to, go off of what Kayla said, come join us on Saturday and keep a lookout for what we are going to offer in the future at the site.
Yeah, I just want to say a big Pinagigi thank you so much for coming on, and really great to see you and nice to meet you, Kayla. Kami, you always are really patient with my pronunciation. One more time, the name of the organization.
Owámniyomni Okhódayapi.
I will grab that recording and practice next time you come on. I used to have it pretty good, but it's been a couple months, I think, since I've seen you.
Yeah, I haven't been on for a while, but maybe on Saturday we'll do an in-person lesson.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Great. Well, a big Pinigi, thank you so much for coming on, and let's talk soon, and I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, Pilamaye for having us on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. Up next, we have our friend Arvina Martin, and we're going to be talking about a little politics. Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Demeny from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. This is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Okhódayapi Owámniyomni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilliup. Snow and freezing rain expected tonight with temperatures rising to 25, then Wednesday sunshine with a high of 42. Warmer weather is on the horizon, and what better way to welcome it back than with a fantastic meal and a show at Crooner's Supper Club. Crooner's is located in Fridley on Highway 65, just north of I-694. Check out their concert schedules and dinner menus at croonersmn.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Bobby Wilson. Witcha.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahade. Hey, welcome everyone. We are with our friend Arvina Martin, our political consultant here, and we like to talk about what's going on all over Turtle Island. But first, Arvina, welcome. And first, how are you holding up? I know Wisconsin got hit really bad with the snowstorm, and I know Minnesota did too. But how are you holding up? And always great to see you. Thank you so much, Pinigigi, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We got, I don't know, they're still determining because we got so much wind, but they think we got somewhere between like 8 and 10 inches here, which is a lot, but nowhere near the 26 plus inches they got in Green Bay. So yeah. My daughter had school canceled for the second day in a row. So they're cleaning up. Yeah. And I've got to give props to, the city of Madison here in Madison, of course, the staff and the street crew that came out and got roads plowed quickly. They did a great job in really, really bad, circumstances. This was not good weather. And we had rain too before the snow started. So it was the snow on top of the rain that made it worse for us.
Wow. And we got about, where I'm at in St. Paul, we got about 14 inches, and it was pretty heavy. We had to go out a couple times, and it's March, and I don't know in Wisconsin, but we really talk a lot about March because it's basketball and hockey playoffs, that we always get a tournament snowstorm, and I guess this is our tournament snowstorm.
Let's hope it is. Let's hope there's not another one, because that was pretty intense. But I've also heard this referred to as smarch weather. So and I don't know why it's S, but we just had like very lovely, people wearing shorts and sandals a couple of days, and then we got a blizzard. So
yeah,
seems on brand.
Getting up 65, 70 in the weekend here in the Twin Cities. So all this will be gone. It's supposed to snow tonight too, but enough of the weather. We're all safe, and there's a lot to talk about here. And I, again, appreciate you coming on. Yeah. Top counterterrorism official Kent resigns from the Trump-Iran war. Says Iran poses no imminent threat. Oh my gosh, they're jumping off the ship now, it sounds like.
Yeah, what is the expression? Rats on a sinking ship. They're all trying to get out because, I mean, we're 3 weeks into this. He hasn't said anything to the American people by way of an address to the nation, which is, I believe, what other presidents have done historically is when we've had to take military action that the president comes on TV and tells us why. We have not heard that. Congress has also not heard it or anything. And, the war is costing like $1 billion a day. And, prices are still high. Gas prices are still going up. Food prices are high. It's this is not a good situation. And that particular official, presumably was in the room and saw information, saw what the information that the president had to make this decision, and couldn't go along with it. So for administrations and teams that are so very toe the line, to see someone step out of line is a really big thing.
One of the things I can't forget and bring up is that we have so many Native Americans that are in the service. And so it's you can be against the war and still for our relatives that are serving, which for many different reasons, but are still our relatives, and we still have to support them, even though we got somebody really, messing with their lives and really. But a shout out to our military.
Yeah, we have our relatives that sign up and enlist into the military because protecting our homeland is a big deal. It's very important. It's a very important job, and these our siblings, our brothers and sisters, and I guess there's not really many non-binary folks in the military these days per Hegseth's orders, but they're willing to put their lives on the line for our nation, and we the part that those of us who aren't serving need to do is to make sure that their lives are not placed on the line needlessly, and the president is gambling with folks' lives, and we've already lost service members, and we have more casualties by the day, and we are not doing right by our armed services by putting them in harm's way for no reason.
Yeah, and I don't want to minimize what's going on, but this is no reason. And one of the things too I'd like to really talk to you about is the SAVED Act and what's happening right now. And I mean, Democrats, if you vote for this is it for me. My goodness, this is just taking women's rights away and minority rights away and so many things, but it's moving on in the Senate, I do believe.
Yeah, it looks like they are taking it up, and there's a debate on the floor happening now in the Senate. And yeah, this act, the Save America Act, would require folks, for if you go to the polls to vote, that you'd have to show a certain kind of ID in order to vote in federal elections, and you'd need to prove your citizenship, and your proof of citizenship, your ID, and your driver's license doesn't count, even though we all transitioned to the real IDs. Those under this law would no longer be valid for voting. You'd have to use a passport. And I think about how many of, especially our relatives in more rural communities especially, are much less likely to have a passport, and when the government is shut down, even partially, or there are cuts like that have happened, and there aren't as much staff, what is the delay going to be in applying for a passport, getting your picture taken, filling it out, mailing it in? This is at the very least a months long process. And if you've changed your name, whether you've gotten married and gotten divorced, or if your name does not match, you're not going to be allowed to vote. And they're trying to obviously disenfranchise women, but I don't think that they realize that women that vote blue are far more likely to keep their names if they get married. So I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see any women, any men, any non-binary folks, disenfranchised because of rules like this. But to do it and then know that you're still disenfranchising a large part of your base, it's. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it.
Right. Well, I don't get the fact that we are even close to supporting this, and having hearings and things like that. That just blows my mind because, am I correct? This is a state issue, not a federal issue.
I mean, the power of managing and carrying out elections, you're right, is something that the states do. And I'm not sure if these rules would then, it says for federal elections, but I don't know if that would also, voting for state level or local officials, if that would also be the case. Yeah. Now I've lost what we were talking about because I just got so annoyed.
No, what we were talking about is that this is a state issue, not a federal issue, and they're making it a federal issue, which is total BS and unconstitutional.
And unconstitutional, and again, inconsistent with past actions of this administration or their previous administration, saying things like, well, abortions, we got to send it back to the states. It's a state's decision. And any issue saying, well, the states should decide on this. They're trying to take it back or take it from the states and make it their issue because they know that things that are happening right now are wildly unpopular with the American people, and know that, they will not have the chances of them having a trifecta in that they have the White House, the Supreme Court, and Congress. That is very unlikely to happen if elections go through as elections are supposed to go through. That's why they're trying to change the rules as to who can vote. That's why, they're trying to take it back. That's why, they're trying to insinuate that both China has interfered in the 2020 election, or Iran interfered in the 2020 election, and trying to build a case that doesn't exist for taking over.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk a little bit when we come back, just the refusal of our relatives, our NATO relatives, in joining in this war. Are we going to be getting our news from overseas, like Canadian television and the UK and Al Jazeera and all those stations? Because right now we're being failed by the mass media here, and that's why I believe it's so important to have you on this show and talking about these issues and keep on talking about them, because there is just a lot of hokey pokey going on here that I hope the dust settles someday and these people get convicted.
Yeah. We have to keep working towards making change, whether that is change in public opinion or change in elected officials. We all need to be doing what we can in order to change that so we can get this accountability back.
Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, our friend, and Ho Chunk. We got to throw that out there too. Maybe we can, you'll have 2 minutes to figure out a word of the day in Ho Chunk. That'd be great. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what NATO's doing and also the services that you are able to give our relatives out there in a good way. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break with Arvina Martin.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters,
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, we are here with our friend. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're here with our friend Arvina Martin, our political consultant out of Wisconsin, former, we call him a city council member, but you're a former
Alder.
Thank you. Jeez, I have a good memory, but short, it must be that junior elder brain I have right now. Speaking of which, do you happen to have a Ho-Chunk word of the day?
Yes, I looked it up right as we were going to break, and the word that I am going to read now is Wagipuru. Wagipuru, and that means blizzard.
Yes, good one. Wagipuru. And then I got to get the applause.
Yay!
Well, let's just talk a little bit about this NATO not supporting this, and then I really want to talk about like the services that you can put out there and how people can get a hold of you, because we know, especially in Wisconsin, but also here in Minnesota, it's always good to have a Native expert when you're talking about Native things, whether it's political or just throwing together a book club for that matter.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. For too long, conversations have been had about us and not with us. And that's changing very slowly, now nowhere near as quickly as I would hope. But, there are organizations, there are candidates, and there are elected officials that want to learn about working with tribes and how to work with, both on the tribal government side, but also on like an organizing side and getting to know members of the community and participating in events that the community holds, that are appropriate. They're not trying to come to ceremony or anything, but maybe your heart awareness fun run, they'll come and race at or something. But I talk a lot about that kind of information, talking about why, as elected officials or government agencies, that especially in Wisconsin, are required to work with tribal governments as peer governments, what tribal sovereignty is, and how to appropriately do that, as well as how to interact with individuals and communities that are not always the same as their tribal governments are. So, you can get a hold of me if you can find me on LinkedIn, Arvina Martin. And I also have experience in doing trainings on all parts of running a campaign. If you have a group of people that you want to, teach about how to run for office, or you want to think about, what do you need to think about if you're going to think about running for office? What kind of race should you run for? I'm available to help with conversations and facilitate trainings, etc. So find me on LinkedIn, Arvina Martin.
Yes, perfect. And geez, I've said before many times on the show, and of course the proof's in the pudding of how well you come across on the radio. I've seen you in action in person, and definitely reach out to Arvina Martin. Which, Arvina, I just got to ask you a real quick off subject thing.
Yeah.
Arvina, where does that name come from? That's a very, very cool name.
It was my Gaga's name. My grandmother, her name was Arvina Thayer, and she was, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she was named after her aunt, Arvina Davis, I believe was her last name. And we have no idea where the name came from, other than it came from her. And the story goes, ran away from home and ended up dancing in Buffalo Bill's Wild West shows, so we don't know what it means. We don't know what the origins are, other than, my Gaga's first name and her Nani's name.
Now, you said too that there's another one that might be coming up soon. Who is that? Are they related to you?
Yeah, that would be Ho Chung-Wei. She's my daughter. She's my sister's oldest daughter. Her name is also Arvina Martin. We have different middle names. I'm not going to blow up her middle name or mine. But I was at an event one time when I was campaigning, and somebody said, I tried to look you up on Instagram, and there's this young girl, and then I remembered that she was old enough to have her own Instagram account, and she was Arvina Martin. I'm Wonk Shik, so it wasn't me that she found.
That's funny. That's cool. Names are very cool. And you're Deer Clan, right?
I'm Warrior Clan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
My dad was Stockbridge Munsee, and he was adopted by both Sophie Lonetree and the man, Ralph and Christine Mann. And they, so he was Warrior Clan. So that's what we are. So yeah.
Very cool. And then do you have a description? I know, like, I'm Eagle Clan, and I always like to say we like to fly over the other clans, but we are the protectors of the politicians and the Eagle Clan.
The Secret Service, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Warrior Clan, I imagine you're warriors.
Yeah, we did, have a lot of our clan members that served as warriors, and we also take care of funerals.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah,
That's a huge thing.
we're not, we're both upper and lower clan. So
That's cool. And then we had a celebration I was not able to make it to in La Crosse, and I don't think you made it either because of the snow coming up, and it frightened me.
Oh yeah, there was I would have loved to go to the Founders Day powwow that happened last weekend, but when it comes to bad weather and the roads, I am the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to risk it unless it's something that's absolutely necessary. And as much as I wanted to go to a powwow, it wasn't absolutely necessary, so I passed. But it looked like it was a fun time, despite being in the middle of a path of a blizzard.
I know, and I usually make that one too, and I was not going to go down there. I was, I fell on the ice, so I just don't want to. I'm just paranoid, So paranoid. I guess it's my baby elder in me.
I'm always very paranoid about the ice, partially because I am a klutz, and despite playing roller derby, most of my most severe injuries have been trying to walk down the stairs in socks or something like that. So I get very paranoid, so I always I try to do the penguin walk, and that's kind of where you shift weight back and forth and kind of keep your legs straight, kind of how penguins walk, and that way your center of balance is not like completely off or moving around a bunch. So yeah,
Well, truth be told, I've seen many penguins fall in videos.
That's true. They do fall. I guess that just means I need to walk around all the time wearing my yak tracks.
Exactly. Hey, one more time, Arvina Martin on LinkedIn. Reach out.
Please do.
And what do you got coming up this week?
I just finished a training academy last weekend. It was 3 days, the Arena Academy, which was a really great opportunity to learn more about being management while working on political campaigns. We learned about AI and some of its usages in campaigns, and you always got to keep learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Arvina, thank you so much for coming on. I might have to call you up and see what your schedule is the rest of the week, but really appreciate you coming on, and really reach out to Arvina. Really, this is awesome, and thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Right on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. We'll see you tomorrow.